We illustrate the building of the LCD by using the fractions 7 over 24, 3 over 10, and 2 over 21, which we want to add. Check out each denominator and prepare a list of the prime factors for each of them on the side of your worksheet. That is, in the first fraction, 24 will be broken down into the primes 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Next, 10 will be equal to 2 times 5, and finally 21 will be factored into 3 times 7. Underneath this list, write the letters LCD. The first set of prime factors of the first denominator 24 will be in this list. So write down 2 times 2 times 2 and 3. Next, check the list of the second set of prime numbers of your second fraction and ask yourself the question: what prime factors in the second list is not present in the first list that you started? Well, 2 is already there, so you don't have to add this 2 to the list, but 5 is not, and so you will have to add 5 to your list. Now check the last denominator, 21. Is there a 3 in the list above? The answer is yes, so you do not have to add that 3. But 7 is not, so 7 is added to your list, which requires the LCD. So you have to ask your question at each time you look at a denominator: what prime factors are not already listed in your LCD builder? The ones that are not there, you must add to them. So your final list of prime factors which make up your LCD is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 7, with a total of 840. This is your lowest common denominator. Now, what do we do with this denominator? Each fraction has to be replaced by the equivalent fraction that has 840 as the denominator. That's how you proceed. Divide the denominator 24 into 840, and you get 35. That means your numerator has to be increased by this number. So you multiply 35 by the numerator and you get 245. So that 245 over 840 is the same as 7 over 24. Now, if you have to, you could use your calculator to work out these numbers. In the next fraction, divide 10 into 840, and 84 is multiplied by 3, and 84 times 3 is 252. So 252 over 840 is the fraction that is equivalent to 3 over 10. Finally, divide 21, the old denominator, into the new denominator, 840, and you get 40. So 40 times 2 is 80, and you end up with 80 over 840, which is an equivalent fraction to 2 over 21. So now you have all the three of them, and all of them have the same denominator. 245 over 840 plus 252 over 840 plus 80 over 840, and when you add these together, you end up with 577 over 840. And you have solved the problem of adding the three fractions where the denominators are all different. We now do a few more examples. We want to add 3 over 8 plus 7 over 12 plus 5 over 18. Factor the denominators into primes, and you have 2 times 2 times 2 in the first fraction, 2 times 2 times 3, and 2 times 3 times 3 in the last fraction. Write down the letters LCD. This will be your LCD builder. The first list of primes are always in the list. So 2 times 2 times 2 should be put in there. In the second fraction, we have 2, 2, and 3. But you already have two 2's, a pair of 2's in the first list that you started. So we don't have to put those in there. But we do need a 3. So now we are building the LCD one step at a time. In the last example, we already have a 2 in the LCD builder. We already have a 3, but we do not have the last 3. So we're going to have to add that 3 to the list. And this gives us a total of 72. We're now going to do some work with mixed fractions. In the example I have 3/4 plus 2 1/12. Now, if you recall, the mixed number 2 1/12 means 2 plus 1/12. So we can break up this problem into 3 parts. 3/4 plus 2 plus 1/12. When you use the common denominator using your LCD builder, 12 will be the lowest common denominator. So 3/4 ends up with 9/12. 2, the whole number 2 is like 2 over 1, becomes 24 over 12, and 1 over 12. The total becomes 34 over 12 when you add the new numerators. Now this can be reduced to a lower fraction, 17 over 6. My next example, instead of changing the mixed number into the sum of its parts, we will use the shortcut method, which I explained earlier in the lecture. We have 4 3/4 minus 2 1/3 plus 1 1/16. So what we will do is take 4 3/4, multiply 4 times 4, 16, add 3, that's 19 over 4. Next, 3 times 2 is 6, add 1, 7, and that's 7 over 3. 6 times 1 plus 1, and that adds up to 7 over 6. So we now have 19 over 4 minus 7 over 3 plus 7 over 6. The LCD is 12. We end up with 57 over 12, 28 over 12 subtracted, and 14 over 12 added. The total is 43 over 1/12. Now 43 over 1/12, if you want to change it back to a mixed fraction again, it is 3 7/12. I want to conclude this lecture by reducing this complex fraction to an ordinary one. We have 3/4 plus 7 over 18 divided by 3/2, which is divided by 15 over 4. We're going to work on the numerator of this complex fraction first. 3/4 plus 7/18 is equal to 41/36. On the bottom of this complex fractions, we take 3/2 divided by 15/4 and change that around so it's 3/2 times 4/15. Now, 3/2 times 4/15 is reduced to 2/5, 2/5 on the bottom. We now interpret this complex fraction as 41/36 divided by 2/5. Now, divided by 2/5 becomes multiplication of 5/2. Finally, 41/36 times 5/2 is equal to 205/72.